Has anybody watched the series yet? It's actually two seasons now.
Great.
Right. It's worth watching. I remember
Tonight,
first
millions at
heard
risk
about
for
it.
severe storms after a
I was
violent and
interested
deadly tornado
just to
outbreak in
see,
the
because I did Ancestry 23 and found out that a part of my ancestry is from Benin. So I started following Benin on IG. You know what you do. You get nosy about stuff and you start following so you can learn some more. And then I saw that pop up because that was one of the cities that they started the series in. And I'm looking at this stuff, I was like, I know that food. I've eaten that food. That's really interesting because they had a market that's actually on the water. So it's really cool just to learn and to see how connected we are as people, especially people of color, to our ancestry. And unfortunately, a lot of times that history is hidden from us and we have to go seek it. So a part of what the Caribbean Community Service Center does is to connect the three groups that we have access to. African American, Afro-Caribbean, and then much like myself that are Afro-Caribbean but have some other stuff thrown up in there. And then also Africans. So what we had the pleasure of doing this year was to provide these three gorgeous speakers with the High on the Hog book and asked them not only to read the book, but to familiarize themselves with the docuseries so we can talk about how we are connected through culture and through cuisine. So I'm going to take the opportunity to hand the mic off to each of them. They have very elaborate bios. I didn't want to mess up anything. And I know a lot of them are extremely professional or make these gorgeous designs, outfits, that I didn't want to misspeak as to who they wanted to be today, because you know how we are. We are a plethora of things. So I'm going to leave it up to them for them to tell you who they are and just a little bit about their background. So we'll start over here with you.
Well, okay, thank you, Sophia. I didn't know I was speaking for myself today, so I could figure out who I want to be. But my name is Sharon Fincher. I've worked with the Caribbean Community Service Center through my job at Avalon Healing Center where I'm the Access, Equity, and Inclusion Coordinator. I was hired specifically to work with what we call, in our grants, I don't like this word, but underserved communities. So it really encompasses all of the things that we're talking about here. And thank you, Sophia, for letting me be a part of this. I didn't think that I was a culinary person, but after reading the book and watching some more of the documentary and talking to people, we're a little bit more connected than what we always thought. So thank you for having me.
Hi everyone, I'm Maggie Corkery. I was born in Haiti. I've been here since the 80s. Thank you, Sophia, for the invitation, and thank you for introducing this book to me because I truly loved it. What else do I say? I'm with Haitian Network Group of Detroit. I'm the vice president and co-founder of Haitian Network Group of Detroit. And we just try to not only serve the Haitian community, but anyone who's interested in the Haitian culture. So I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Ooh. Hi everyone, my name is Maeva. Thank you, Sophia, for having us. I am West African, specifically from the Ivory Coast, recent AFCON champion. I had to throw that in there. I was born and raised in Europe, but I'm very proud to represent West Africa today. I am a designer. My clothing brand is called Weirdo. I design blazers. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay. So did you guys have any questions for them before we get started? Because I know we have an interesting group of attendees today. We have the fellows from the Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative. There you go. I know they brought you for a reason. And they represent Latin America. Some reason the Caribbean falls under Latin America. No. So we have folks from Panama. We have from the Bahamas. We have from
Haiti,
Suriname, Haiti,
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
That's it.
That's it?
First and red.
Okay, sorry. And then over here we have from Detroit.
Chicago.
Oh,
Chicago.
from
To get it right.
Chicago,
In Nigeria.
Nigeria,
Haiti and 5 more states.
Haiti, and 5 more states. But Detroit, we claim her now. Mrs. Cook,
Guyana.
Guyana, and Jamaica. So I'm going to introduce you to Robert Champowski. He is one of the directors from the Caribbean Community Service Center, and he is going to be leading the discussion, the panel discussion.
All right. Thank you, Sophia. It was a great book. I was excited once I read it too. So.
A lot of commonalities between us and also between us who are from the African diaspora and also from people who were born in the African continents. And one thing that I liked about it, there's one sentence that the author said is that African food colonized the American palate. And when I read, I'm like, oh my God, that is true. And you see that shows throughout the entire book.
Yeah, one of the main messages for me was communication. It was so many different cultures involved in the creation of the book and the documentary, and she traveled so many different places and just really brought things together. And so watching the documentary and also reading the book, it just brought up a lot of things that it helped things make sense to me that I noticed, you know, as growing up as a child and things that my family may have done, but it also helped to conjure up conversations between myself and other people like we are here today, and realize that communication is so important, because once we start talking, we realize we have more in common than we do differences. So I love the fact that it brings us together that way.
I watched the documentary, and one thing that I wrote down is I forgot his name. The guy who's actually the Somali. We're gonna call him brother. He said something that stood out to me, and he said there's very little that we didn't influence from West Africa to the African American community and Caribbean. There's very little, like he said, there's very little that we didn't influence, and how it started watching the voyage from West Africa, Benin, Senegal. I think he also spoke with one of the Senegalese chefs, how everything just flowed up. Yeah, it was really nice to finally see it, because when you're in school, you read about it, you hear about it, but really actually following the voyage was really beautiful to see.
So to move on, what were some of your favorite scenes from the books or series, and why did it stand out for you?
One of my favorite scenes in the documentary is the marketplace. My grandmother used to take me to Easter market all the time when I was little, and you know, you just go because you're told to go, but the marketplace has so much culture and pride and happiness and healthy. It was just so good, and you know, I mean, I just hope that I can get, you know, to one of the countries and experience.
The time that when they were around, I mean, there was still slavery going around, but then they made a name for themselves. But I was thrilled when I saw that there were mention of a lot of Haitians. I mean, I'm from Haiti, you know, I gotta celebrate my people. And people like Jean-Baptiste Pointe-du-Sable, that most people don't know. He is actually the first non-native that settled the area that we know is like Chicago. You don't see that in the history book, but it's true. And then you have the families in Philadelphia, like the family Augustin, Dutreuil, Baptiste, all these people who were caterers and made a name for themselves. And these people came from nothing. So to me, that really, oh my gosh, I was so happy. And then there's this one guy, Samuel Francis, who was the first black person to open a tavern in Manhattan. in New York, and it's still open to this day. So to be of Caribbean descent, to be a black woman, you come to a country where oftentimes you hear that, you know, you're not working, and you see these people. We have great histories now of people coming from the Caribbean, from Africa, doing great things, but you don't hear about the people that came from way back when and made something for themselves because they were great entrepreneurs and they lived the American dream. Back then, we didn't call it that, but still, it is the American dream.
I can't follow that. One of the silly scene that actually stood out to me was where the word cowboy came from. That was really nice to see, and how the brother visited the Black Cowboy Museum and just really understanding all of that. That was definitely one of my favorite scenes.
Okay, all right, so moving on. What foods do you associate with your ancestry and why?
Okra.
Okra. He also said okra is quintessentially African, and I agree with that. Seeing the fusions between Senegal, Benin, West Ivory Coast, and how it followed to the U.S. Was very, okra.
For me, most of the food, okra, edo, and all of those. But what I found was funny is that the author talked about how in America they call sweet potato yam, when actually yam is a totally different tuber. And when I came here, I had that same problem. When they said, well, you eat the yam, I said, what yam? This is not yam. Yam looks different. So I had to chuckle when I read that part. And then another thing that came to mind when I read the book is that they were talking about the women that using the balloon to break the covering from the seeds of the corn. And it brought back memories of me going to the countryside in Haiti and seeing women doing the same thing. We call it pilon, but it's the same thing where you take the corn or the millet, which is we call pitsimi, and you pound it, and then it breaks the thing open. So that was like, it took me back. It really took me back.
Yeah, the yams and sweet potato thing was a serious discussion, and I remember being younger and somebody trying to explain it to me, and I never just understood. So it was those, of course, black eyed peas, okra, rice, because my mom used to always say that's the geechu. What are you talking about? Because I love all different kinds of rice. But one thing that I do, and I was mentioning earlier, I have this pot that my grandmother used to have, and it's older than I am, but I use it to cook greens. And so on holidays, people expect me to cook greens in this pot, and that just kind of ties me into my family. I say, hey, honor to my ancestors.
Nice.
And that's a great connection to the next question.
So
you got it. What foods do you cook for family gatherings that are related to your ancestry?
With my friend group, I'm kind of known for cooking. So I cook, like I love to grill. I love soul food, but I'm also learning other kinds of foods. We were just talking when we go to restaurants and tastings. I'm like, I can cook that at home. So I don't think there's any limits to it. But what I do love about this is in these types of conversations, it just opens you up to so much more. And so I grew up with just certain kinds of spices, right? Like seasoning salt, accent, you know. And now I go to like these ethnic markets and stuff like that, and I try all different types of seasonings, and I read different books. And I have a different type of relationship with food now, thanks to, you know, some assistance. But food is a way that I just like to show love to people and watch people eat it and make them smile. And now that learning all of this, I'm just seeing how everything is connected. So I have a lot of questions about myself.
For me, you know, the usual rice and beans, John, black rice, you know, lemon sauce. I mean, all those stuff that most people eat in the Caribbean, same thing.
Black rice is not everywhere.
That's true. We have,
unique.
you're right. Yeah, it's good stuff. And one thing I realized is that we in Haiti call gombo, what we call gombo is really okra cooked in a sauce with meat, which is a little different than the gombo here, because here in New Orleans they do a roux that they put in it. But this is a little different, but still, love it.
I can definitely relate to that. We also call it gumbo in Ivory Coast. I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. I don't cook. I'm the one who eats. But when I do cook, recently I made it my mission to learn more how to cook African stews. And of course, okra sasgombo is one of them, but also ogbono. I'm not sure how to explain that. It's also kind of like a seed that you put in a stew, and it's very like, in French we call it sasgombo. Kind of same consistency as the okra, but yeah, that's one of the main dishes in Ivory Coast that I just learned how to cook. So yeah.
So are there any signature foods that identify you as a person that you associate with that you want to claim for yourself? And what are they?
For me, I won't claim it for myself, but I will claim it from the area where my mom is from. My mom was from, and my dad, they were from the northern part of Haiti. And I was born in the capital, Port-au-Prince. But of course, I had family, grandparents in the northern part, so I would go and visit. So there's a dish that's called lalo. Lalo is made with greens, and then they put crab and shrimp and meat, and oh, it's delicious. Back then, when I grew up in Haiti, when I would talk to my friends in the capital about it, they had no idea what it was. No idea, because it was particular to that area, to that region. Now it's more, widespread. And I love lalo. And to me, I was always not wanting to cook it because I never watched someone cook it, so I said, no, I'm not gonna touch this. And then I went to a couple restaurants here, and I tasted it was good. I said, you know what? After I read this book, the taste came, I said, oh my gosh, I have to have this. So I went to the store, purchased the stuff, made it, and it was good. I didn't have a recipe. I just put the stuff based on my recollection of how it's supposed to taste, and it was wonderful. So, and then another story about lalo. So when I go to Gonaïve, that's where my mom was from, first time I arrived there, they didn't know they have to have that dish ready for us. We eat it. But when I go to school in Port-au-Prince, I come back home. If I saw lalo on the table, I say, okay, either grandma's in town or my aunt is in town, somebody from Gonaïve is in town, because you can't find that in Port-au-Prince. So I claim this for my mom's heritage.
I love grilling. It's something about outside cooking. So even when, in the documentary, when they had the hog in the ground, and it's something about outside cooking for me. So anything with a grill and something that I can do outside, I just love it. Something about being out in the open, just taking your time with it, and all the other activities that you can do, and the conversations that it create. I just think grilling is a good time, and I look forward to doing that. So that's something I like to do.
So in the book, one of the things that was pointed out was, there was so much lost in the middle passage, and yet, what the author pointed out, that once the enslaved persons now got here, they recreated their own food culture here, which is in some ways, for me, I never thought about that. So how did it make you feel to hear about that connection of going back and this connection to Africa with the food?
I mean, it just makes me proud, because we're just a resilient people. No matter what happens, we just find a way. Even when enslaved people would put rice or beans in their hair to leave trails, like, we're just innovative people. And it's just funny, because no matter what you try to do, we just found another way to do it. So even with the cowboy scene in the documentary, I'm not this daring with food, but he was saying how he didn't want anything wasted, so they made this stew with like heart and liver and all of these things that I'm not going to eat, but they enjoyed it and it meant something to them. I'm not there yet. But it just shows you, no matter what we have, we can always cultivate something great. And it's just sad that the honor and appreciation that should be given, as you mentioned, to like some of the first chefs that we've had that were enslaved and things like that. And just all of the things that they put into place to make us have all of this culinary fantasticness that we have. Even people like in New Orleans who still go out on the Gulf and gather their food. It's just something about, for me, being outside and one with nature and trying to figure all that stuff out. It's just something about it that's so peaceful, and it makes me feel connected.
For me, it's just pride. Pride that you see people that were enslaved, that were told that they were nothing, but they still managed to survive and do very well. And then here we are here today. We are the result of that. And it's great, and that's why I try to instill it in my children, particularly my youngest who's 18. Now he's getting more interested in his background, and I try to share everything with them. And even this book, I told him as soon as I'm done, you read it, because and he loves to eat too. So
I definitely agree with both of the ladies. Can you repeat the question?
So how does, it might be a little different for you, right?
Yeah.
Because you are from Africa, right?
Right.
So the question was, how did you feel about this connection to African food that's lost to many African Americans and Americans? No, many people don't think about that this food really came from Africa and has shaped our culture in America.
Right. I felt great. Same as you said. It's a lot of pride, and I think we were the first people to do a fusion. It's not that they recreated; they just took something from home and made with what they had, and it falls with everything that they threw away. They took it, right? And just like what is it? Oxtails. They used to throw out the oxtails, and now this is like a delicacy. Same with oysters. So it falls back into there is very little that we didn't influence here. And not only did we influence it, we made it great, because I think he also mentioned something about the pepper pot.
oh
Yeah, and how and it's similar to pepper soup. We eat pepper soup, so that's how. Yeah, it's pride, and it's really just innovative. We're innovative.
So the way to make America great again is to bring back our African knowledge. All right, so just a little local question. What foods represent Detroit to you? Detroit City.
I can go. Okay, you guys, I know this would really are southern, but for me, the first time I tasted them, it was in Detroit, so that represents Detroit. Barbecue ribs, collard greens. Love it. And it took me a long time before I dared to make ribs or collard greens, because I said, oh no, that's not my territory. And I did. Then I felt good. And I had my American friends try it. They said it was good. And I said, okay, I'm good. No problem making this.
Soul food, yes, absolutely. Fish is something else that's pretty big in Detroit as well. But for me, intermingling and talking to you all now, I'm learning about African culture and Caribbean cuisine in Detroit. So I grew up here, from Detroit, raised and born Detroit all the way. My ancestors, my grandparents, and they all migrated from the South. But now I'm getting introduced to other things. So Detroit's food scene is expanding for me a little bit.
The first thing that I loved when I first moved to Detroit was mac and cheese, so I gotta say mac and cheese.
All right. So our esteemed panel has given us fantastic answers, but we have a great audience here. So maybe we could open this question up to everybody. What foods to you represent Detroit?
I take the mic. And you can use that one.
Who wants to go first? What foods, no matter where you're from, brings to mind Detroit?
They already said the southern part, and I think that's the story of migration. When you come and you find all this soul food. But what was surprising for me was tacos. Because I was used to the taco with the hard shell and thought that was taco. So when I first moved to Detroit and they gave me this little circle with a soft shell, very tasty, I was like, oh, okay. To really have authentic Mexican food, to really learn what it should really look like, and that it's not Tex-Mex. I learned that, funny enough, in Detroit, right? And so I think that's one of the things we forget, that Detroit is very much a global city, and that there's global pockets everywhere, and you're going to be introduced, like, this is the best place out of the Middle East that you could find great
Yes.
Middle Eastern food, right? And I learned all this in Detroit, that there's other cultures than just the Southern cuisine that I was used to.
So are you saying it's tacos? What are you saying? It's the Detroit food for you.
For me, tacos, authentic tacos. Oh, and the guac.
So this is interesting for me because not being from here, you get to see all of these cultures just kind of come together and you get these particular offerings. So sadly, I'm about to say a food that I associate with Detroit, but I can't even eat it because I have not eaten red meat in 25 years. But because I'm a historian, I know that when we hear Coney dogs, we automatically think of Coney Island in New York, but that originated here. So that is something I definitely associate with Detroit. And cuisine in general, because I'm one of those people that has to eat different very often, and at least being African descended, and so being this person who grew up in this Pan-African household and knowing that there's a Congolese element, a Nigerian element, a Cameroon element, I have this cellular memory of food. So what I have learned in Detroit is if you want like really great food, you have to cook your own. So.
I like to second that, Coney dog. I'll tell you a story. So one day I was gonna go back. My parents live in Pennsylvania. My wife and I were gonna go back to visit, but she got sick. So it ended up Christmas Day. We were planning to go, so there was no plans. So I said, well, where do you go to get some food on Christmas Day when everything is closed? Coney Island. And it was open, and that was Christmas Day. That's Detroit.
Hi, well, one food that everyone talking was about the square pizza from Detroit. But really, one food that I will keep in my mind always when I think about Detroit, it will be the bao food.
Baba Fire.
Yeah. Really good. That food, it always remind me from here, from home, because it tastes like Panama, the fish and everything. So that's my guess. It will be that food.
Anybody else? Oh, sorry.
Try not to cut in front of the camera.
Hi. Every time I visit a Detroit home, catfish is always served. And that is, I was always adamant about not having any other fish that don't look like the fish that we have in Jamaica. The goatfish, the snapper fish, the swordfish. However, I tried it, and that is a cuisine that has moved into my house. That we try to have at least one Friday of every month to do catfish. So, catfish is different.
Anybody else?
All right. So we could just move back to our question. So, did the book challenge your perspective on something, or your opinion on something, and what was that?
I'm gonna go back to communication. It made me understand the importance of communication, intergenerational conversations, and things like that. All of these traditions and histories and recipes and all of the stuff that we have, I feel like we need to keep communicating to our families and younger people. And thank you for making your son read that book, because it just answers so many different questions. So I just think that communication is important, and passing this stuff down. And you know, like I have a pot that my grandmother had before I was born that I can pass to my granddaughter, and you know, it's just stuff like that, and that just makes the holidays a little better. A lot of my family has died off, but you know, and sometimes I do like these over the top barbecues and things for my friends, and I always tell people sometimes too, you know, sometimes people do things and it's not just for you, so don't feel like I'm overdoing, because that also is a healing thing for me. It's a way to honor my ancestors and think about how I used to wake up in the morning sometime, and depending on what the smell in the house was, I could tell what kind of day it was going to be. If that barbecue grill was going, it was going to be a bunch of family. If the cakes was going, that meant my grandmother was coming over. But all of those things need to be passed down, so I just, you know, wish that we can keep these conversations going, involve kids, teach kids how to cook, and where all of this stuff comes from, and it really gives you a way to help with you identifying yourself and some things that you may have questions about. I didn't realize that food, art, culture, activism, music, and all of these things are so intertwined together. And when you start to embrace them all, I think that you start to develop and open up parts of yourself that you might not have known were there.
I learned that, because I always thought that the African slaves and the natives lived parallel lives, but then I learned they actually intermingled and helped each other. So that was a good thing for me to read about. And also, James Hemings. His language, he was acclaimed, and you know the French people, how they are particular about their food. He was acclaimed in France as a great cook, right? Now he's in France during the time of the revolution, and what is he hearing? All men are born equal, but yet he's a slave, and he's there with his master. Then he comes back to America and have to deal with those conflicting ideas. And I'm like, oh my God, how terrible and how maddening it must have been for him. And then when I read in the book that he eventually committed suicide, I really wasn't surprised, because I mean, you would be. How do you deal with this? So that really stayed with me. And of course, I'm going to do some more digging about him and learn more about him.
And to note his person who brought him over, his owner, quote unquote, was Thomas Jefferson, who wrote the Declaration of Independence and all many modes to freedom.
And he brought us mac and cheese here from a dish that he learned in France. Great guy.
I'm going to touch back on like how important. So it highlighted the importance of communication. That is how we pass down the legacy of our food, our culture. You literally touched everything on. You touched everything that I wanted to say. So the documentary highlighted the importance of having those conversations, not just in your community, but outside of your community.
I think in this day and age we have technology, right? So I have a granddaughter, and she lives in Kansas City. And so on holidays, I used to cook with my grandmother. So for me now, since she's not physically here, I put the phone up, and she'll watch and ask questions or whatever. So she's not technically participating, and I'll show her the pot, and we'll hold the phone, and people are like, talk. I'm like, no, she doesn't have to talk. We're looking at each other. We're bonding here. And so even those small moments when you don't physically have the person that you may want there with you, is still ways to communicate and pick up on things. And so she may not have, been there for that holiday, but she's gonna have those memories, and we take pictures and things like that too. So she learns too.
So maybe we're nearing the end, so maybe we could ask our audience here. So how does it feel to hear all of this dialogue and discussion? Is there anything that stands out for you, or anything that stirs any thoughts in your mind about this discussion?
Or have you guys did you guys even know about the book and the docuseries? So that's one of the things they can address too. And will this make you go now watch it?
Firstly, just thank you guys for sharing your perspectives. I read the book, and the things that you don't want to be that person who's like, I always felt this, but I really do feel that there are stories within each of us who are across the diaspora that have been in our blood. So when we talk about, when you mentioned about, what about the way back people, I think that those stories are in us, and being able to be here and be witness to everybody just showing up and everybody sharing their perspectives, what a takeaway that I take from this is that the community is big, but the love that we all come from is bigger. So I appreciate you guys sharing your backstories, and it's just always good. There's so many things that a lot of us are just learning now about where we come from more specifically. And it seems like it's always this big competition to be more close to the source than the sources that still make the whole. And that pisses me off, but I'm not here I don't have to defend my blackness. And my blackness is not, it's not associated with the food that I eat, because I eat cross-culturally. But the beauty of being this black descended person that I am is that I can always make whatever I cook or whatever I taste better. And I know that's in my blood, so thank you guys for sharing.
I think what I heard of the show because my friend had to recreate the dish when they were doing the northern shooting. But what was amazing for me was when Mamba came to Detroit, and I know Maggie could relate, and he started creating a bunch of products. He made the juice and he made a thing, but the way he spelled it, I was like, "Are you Haitian?" Right? Like every day we laugh. I'm like, every time he comes with a new product, like the G or the T or the cafe, that's how we spell it in our Haitian Creole, right? And we thought we were special and unique, and to find out that is our link, right? Coming our continental link through language, because we still use the word mai, right? And as you well know, Haiti still has a lot of its language, African languages from where it came from. So mai was something I thought it was only ours, right? And then I found out that my African brothers and sisters had it. So that's, I think, like for me, as you all know, I'm a big proponent on the arts and utilizing the arts to connect people. And I think those are places that create safe spaces, no matter what our biases are. Food, art, music, culture are those safe spaces so that we can start having these conversations to learn to appreciate each other. So I think that's the one thing I appreciate about Sophia putting this together, but also the book, is having these safe spaces where we can start having conversations about who we are and where we come from, and appreciation for that.
Hi everyone. So I arrived a little late, it was hard to get in, but I really wanted my mom to be here. My mom hails from the Garifuna culture in Belize, which is descended from the island of St. Vincent, Niurume, mixing with African shipwrecked people, and then moving along the coast of Honduras, Guatemala, Rotan, and Belize. So I am very proud of that heritage. I see a lot of commonality in the presentation. I affiliate with much of what has been said. I think coming from Belize, where we were very impoverished, but not paucity or poverty of spirit. Mm-hmm. And what comes out of the presentation is the strength of the human spirit to survive by any means necessary. I'm a physician by practice. I'm an anthropologist, and I think I'm a humanitarian. What I try to see in the patients that I serve is their lived experience. And that, I think, working in Inkster, which is a very poor community with high infant mortality rates, maternal morbidities, really brings home the reason why I'm able to live with joy, because my work actually brings me joy. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'll say something,
Okay.
please.
Let's let you go first, because I spoke. No, we get in my car to start.
So, listening to the panel discussion, I kind of got an essence of the whole documentary and the meat of the conversation. But I want to piggyback on a lot of what you spoke about outside, you're a girl of outside cooking and all that kind of stuff, and just remembering in Jamaica, that's what we did a lot of. I don't remember cooking in the house unless you live in the bourgeois stuff. It's the Dutch pot, it's the coal stove, it's the hallelujah on top, fire on the top, and all that kind of stuff. And the
Chirac stone or
was a
some wood.
community of people cooking.
It's a
at the
Chirac
time. It was
stone.
not just mama sitting in the household doing that kind of stuff. So we got more information in that space. So I am now trying to think, how can we recreate that in our culture today? That is, I always drop like
Maybe we should just have a
challenges and look in and here. Thank you.
The cookout.
I think it would be fun.
I like that.
I think
Have a family reunion.
I
Yeah.
feel like she gonna call
It'll be like a real family reunion. Yeah, I'm calling it.
It's done.
Sophia.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna keep it short. I find it very interesting. So surely after today, I'm gonna read the book and watch the series. Because where I'm from in Suriname, we also have a lot of people, African brothers in the country, and I see that we brought some roots back from Africa, but this kind of fades away because not a lot of people are investing in it. But we also have like some recipes still from Africa, like I don't know if I say good cassava, yeah, and banana and Nancy. So those are all things we still enjoy in Suriname. But with this, I also didn't know that we had this in Detroit, like a Caribbean community. So
There you go.
like we only a week here, and right now I'm feeling home right now.
We're spread out.
So I'm gonna try to make the best out of it, and who knows what kind of connection we can make after today. Yes, thank you.
And this is why we do this.
I got one more. I just wanted to say, like, sometimes it's just difficult. So when we talk about the slaves and the cooks and suicide and things like that, it's hard to swallow that. But I think conversations like this and things like what we're doing is just another way to honor. And so for me, reading those things or watching those things, sometimes I can't get through them. So I had to figure out another way to channel that energy. And so now it's just trying to, feed people and have these conversations and bring things to light and share. And I just feel like that's just one of the best ways that we can honor the people who brought us all of this magnificent stuff that we enjoy and that we talk about. So thank you again for letting me be a part of this.
Any other final wrap-ups from the panel or the audience?
Okay, so now comes the fun part. I'm going to introduce you to Chef Jen. A lot of you guys know her or don't know her, but you're going to find out about her today. She's shy to talk. No, she's shy to talk, but she...
I speak through my food.
There you go. But she don't talk today because we're doing her. She got to learn how to do certain things. That's right. So what we did was we challenged Jen today. She also had to read the book, and she also had to watch the docuseries. We gave her some items that we know or we thought or we hoped came through the Transatlantic Slave Trade. Because I'm Jamaican, we claim everything. So we gave her okra.
Yes.
We gave her rice, and she chose some red rice.
Yes.
Yeah. She has saltfish or codfish.
Dried fish, like
Dry
really
fish.
dried fish, yeah.
What?
Beans.
Chicken.
Beans.
I'm getting to the beans. I thought she said she didn't talk much.
So,
Chicken, seafood, beans, and gave her the liberty of preparing her version of what our food would taste like. So remember, she's Jamaican. She also does Afro-Caribbean fusion foods. So you're in for a treat. I'm going to turn it over to Jen now so she can tell you a little bit about why she chose the meals that she provided. And then we'll have you guys get up and try the food.
Hi everyone. Shy.
Let's get it. All right, so based off the ingredients that I used to make all these meals here today, and off the discussion based off the discussion we just had, I think we're all familiar with all these ingredients. So we have the red rice, which I learned of very recently, and it's very popular in the African and Asian community. Saltfish. I'm not sure who else uses saltfish other than Caribbean people.
Oh, so
Everybody does.
Salted codfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that African countries uses like dried herring and other fish, but
That came from the colonizers.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. So I made some we call it cook up saltfish. So, it's cooked up with a lot of fresh seasoning, onions, scallions, thyme, rosemary, garlic, the whole works. And for this one, I was pretty skeptic when making it. This was a part of the docuseries. I don't remember the what part it is, but it's like gumbo, but it's not gumbo. It's like a one-pot okra and rice soup. It has scallops in there, chicken, shrimp, and sausages. And I put my own Caribbean twist on it. And right here we have beans, and I chose kidney beans. It's very popular amongst all of us, and I kind of did a play on it. We all eat baked beans, but I did a play on it so you taste some sweet, some savory, very well seasoned. And right here we have okra soup. So, I had any idea about making this, we're all familiar with Cola Lounge. I used to be the Jamaican chef, and I was just behind all Nigerians, and I was looking, I'm like, what you put in there? What do you put there? So then, that's how I learned how to make, but I still put my Caribbean twist on it. So that is it for today, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And for the juice. This is homemade pineapple, ginger, and sorrel drink. Made it this morning. Hope you guys enjoyed it. How was it?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the food.
All right, thank you, Jen. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna use the opportunity. We're gonna come off alive. I want you guys to use this time to learn a little bit about each other. We have folks from several Caribbean countries that are here. Some from the African continent that are here. From Chicago, it's Americans that are here. And we also have, like I mentioned, we have the fellows that are here always also to network. So they're right along here. Please make sure you introduce yourselves to them. Let them know what you do. Right here too. Let them know what you do, because they're here to learn from us. Not only about the culture here in Detroit, but they came here for specific business and organizational reasons. So we want to make sure that they're successful at what they came here to do.
Okay, where are they from? Can they introduce themselves just so everybody could know?
Why are you trying to run my program? You see what happens when you bring black people together? I know. So, sure, Gracie, I will do that just for you. We'll start right here. Tell what country you're from, your name, and the business that you're here representing.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shaquem Roll. I'm here from Nassau, Bahamas. My business venture focuses on securing life and property. My company name is Rolls Safe Tech Security. It's a pleasure to be amongst all of you all. And I feel it's kind of diverse. And I really, like I said, I just appreciate being here. And I hope to learn much more from you.
Hi everyone, my name is Haley and I came from Panama. My organization is Hecho por Refugiados, that's made by refugees in English. We work with refugees in Panama. We provide them with hands-on skills so they can become independent and create their own business. And my FPO are Sophie and Gracie. I'm learning from them.
Hi everyone, my name is Monique Lescano. I also come from Panama. I have an online jewelry store called Fine Obsession with the purpose of empowering and hiring people with disabilities.
Hello everyone, I'm Maxime from Haiti. My business is Field Haiti. I'm a food producer, mainly the pumpkin. We turn pumpkin into powder and we try to export it. With that, we can make pumpkin soup, pumpkin bread, pumpkin cocktail, and so. So that's what I do mainly. And secondly, we have a produce from Haiti that it's called Akamil. So with Akamil, we are helping children under 5 years old and pregnant women and humanitarian crisis.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So I'm very glad to be there too.
Hi, my name is Jason Priscilli. I'm from Suriname. I'm also in the food and beverages sector, and maybe you won't see it, but I can show you later. I produce right now sausages, meat sausages from different flavors. Yes, thank you.
Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Jimena Solis. I am from Costa Rica, Central America. And the name of my company is MKN Digital. It is a digital marketing agency. So I help entrepreneurs and small businesses owners to improve marketing strategies to improve sales. And I try to change the mindset that marketing